Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Requazar, Rec, whatever you guys want to call me, really. And I want to make a showcase of my build that I've been using recently. I made it pretty recently. It's been a lot of fun to use. Does really good damage. Not the best in bossing, obviously, because Amara isn't the greatest when it comes to bossing compared to Moze and Flak, but it does get the job done. Now this build will be focusing around Kensei. The Kensei is worded weirdly. Pretty much after activating her action skill, Amara deals 10% bonus melee damage for a tuned elemental type with her weapons for the next 6 seconds. This does not make all your weapons deal melee damage. In fact, it makes it pretty much so you get amp damage on all your weapons based off the amount of melee damage you have. So it is not melee damage to all your weapons. It does not activate Cut Purse. It does not activate Knife Drain, White Elephant, and it also does not work with skills like Combo Breaker and Ebb and Flow. You mainly want to be specking into melee damage passives with this that way you can make the most out of it. So now I'm going to get into the build. So first off, we're going to go 5 out of 5 Heavy Rain. With this, you get splash damage, projectile speed. The splash damage is going to be nice since we're going to be benefiting off Unweave the Rainbow, which will make it so our intuit element does more damage based off, or if we deal melee damage or splash damage. Next, we're going to want to grab No Mistakes in Nature. This is just more melee damage whenever a status effect is applied to an enemy. Like I said, Kensei is boosted by melee damage passive, so you want to grab those types of skills. Now these next 2 points we need to get down the tree. Obviously do not spec in a combo breaker or ebb and flow. So spec into really any of these two skills. I usually just put 2 points in to go with the flow. That way we can get a little bit more gun damage and a tiny bit of movement speed. But it's not really needed. If anything, you could go and trust in yourself as well. It doesn't really matter. Do what you like. Next, we're gonna go into burn both ends 5 out of 5. With burn both ends 5 out of 5, we get taunt pretty much, similar to Athena's taunt skill in Borderlands pre-sequel. You will taunt all enemies around you, and now this this is pretty much a second part of the skill, which is whenever we take damage, we gain increased damage, and this is damage to all types of damage types, so like grenade damage, uh, me melee damage, weapon damage, all that stuff. And it does go up to 75% bonus damage, so obviously you want to spec into that. Next is Joyful Freedom. Like I said, more melee damage passives, the better the Kensei is. So you want to grab this whenever we activate our action skill, we deal more melee damage. So it'll just overall boost our Kensei. And then Clear the Mind. This is probably one of the best capstones in the game. This makes it so we ignore all elemental damage resistances whenever we get a kill. Now this does not mean that we ignore elemental damage immunity. You will not be able to kill a cryo immune enemy with cryo weapons, but if they resist it, then we negate that resistance and they take full damage from that element. Next, we're going to go into Red Tree. With Red Tree, we're going to go 5 out of 5 in Infusion. That way we convert a portion of our damage into our attuned element or action skill element. Uh, Tempest for the elemental damage and shock damage. It's just more damage overall, so obviously you want to spec into that. Illuminated Fist, like I said again, more melee damage passives, the better our Kensei is. This is purely for the melee damage bonus, not for the melee damage conversion. We don't really need that. Dread, I forgot to mention that this AZ ties the binds build, but Dread will give us more gun damage and it will instantly reload our weapons whenever we kill a grasp enemy, so that's pretty nice to have. Now these 3 points, you could spec into Wildfire or Steady Hands, it's up to you really. I usually just put 3 out of 3 Steady Hands with extra accuracy and handling for any weapons that have large spread and stuff like that. Deep Well, more mag size, that's nice to have. Indiscriminate is really good. It does get Mayhem scaling, so this skill will be doing tons of damage even when you ricocheting things like plasma coil and other weapons will be doing a ton of damage with indiscriminate. Now we need one more point to get down the tree. I usually put it in Catharsis. You can put it into Wildfire if you like. Catharsis does also get melee, not melee, mayhem damage scaling because of the Nova damage boost that they gave a few patches ago, I'm pretty sure. Sustainment, obviously 2 points in here just for some lifesteal. This is to keep us alive. And now the final 15 points, we're going into the green tree. Now with the green tree, we're gonna max out personal space. This is bonus damage based on the distance. This does affect Kensei, so you want to spec into that for that 54% more damage, bonus damage. Next is clarity and root to rise, simply to get down the tree. These skills aren't that great, really. It's just health regen and max health, so I guess it's nice to have. Arms deal more splash damage and splash damage reduction. You want this more splash damage to help with Unweave the Rainbow, and also the splash damage reduction is going to be really nice against things like barrels and enemies with splash damage weapons. And then obviously we're going to grab Fry in your center because it provides 100% bonus melee damage, which is obviously going to boost our Kensei com. Then we're going to go over here, purple tree. You can honestly really put these 4 points into blue tree if you like, but I usually put in Atman for more scale damage. This makes it so our Ties the Bind will be dealing more damage, and then Helping Hand just for the little bit of damage reduction, which is nice to have. Now for our action skills and all that, we're gonna grab Cold Hearted for cryo damage. We want to be freezing enemies, so we get the Unweave the Rainbow bonus, and we want to grab Expedite as well, for whenever we kill an enemy, we get 30% cooldown rate. This will make it so our cooldown is up all the time. Our cooldown will be like 4 seconds, so your phase grants is going to be really fast. And then obviously ties that binds for the, link damage and all that. Next, I'm going to get into the weapons. So for the weapons, you can generally use whatever you want, whatever you like, really, as long as it has consecutive hits, passive anoint on it. Uh, you could probably make do with melee damage anoints as well. I believe those do boost Kensei. I haven't tested that out fully yet, but for a safer bet, I'd say stick with consecutive hits. It's overall just probably one of the best anoints in the game. Um, and I provided a lot of splash damage weapons. You also want to be using those as well to get Unweave the Rainbow bonus. Things like Chaosin's nice, Light Show, Maggie's, Bloodstarved Beast, which doesn't get a lot of love really. I don't know why. It's a really, really good SMG, although I don't know why it's not used that much. Flipper, Plasma Core, obviously the best SMG in the game. Monarchs, Convergences, Anarchy, Reflux is in there. Trevenators recently got buffed and they're really, really nice. Hellwalkers, really good. Backburners, more Plague Bearers. Roots, Sandhawks is also really good because it does do splash damage. And then I have also provided Old Gods, just in case you don't want to use the Frozen Snowshoe. I use the Frozen Snowshoe so we can freeze enemies. This is really nice, so we can just get up close to the enemy, freeze them, and we get the full Unweave the Rainbow bonus. It's pissed for the ASE elements, and then I provided a Phaser Com, although it wouldn't really be used. It was just for another build I had in here. We're going to be using Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge. Obviously, you want to use this. This is probably the best artifact in the game. You run it on pretty much every character, so you obviously want to use that. And that's it. I'm going to skip to some gameplay so you guys can see the full build. So here we are in Athenas. This is pretty much the generic spot to go to for testing builds and all that. So I kind of just wanted to come here, test out the build, showcase to you guys how good the build is. So gonna get up here, freeze him, just do this, and as you can see, pretty much just melts. And then if we can activate this, gone. And use Maggie a little bit as well. Grab this Nog, freeze him. One shot kill right there. Grab these guys, freeze them. As you can see, this build does tons of damage. Really good for mobbing. Come up here, grab this guy. Yeah, as you can see, nothing really stands a chance here. And freeze him. Does tons and tons of damage with this build. again. You gotta activate the action skill to get the bonuses gunning. To freeze him. Grab him real quick. Tons of damage right there. As you can see, this build gets the job done pretty much when it comes to mobbing. Everything just dies in a few hits. As you can see, nothing really stands a chance. Grab him so we can freeze him. Instantly died. So as you can see, this build is very strong. Gets the job done. But again, like I said, when it comes to bossing, might not be the greatest. Here I'll showcase Bloodstarved Beast, which doesn't get a lot of love really, which kind of sucks because it's a really strong weapon. I'll be using a little bit of the Tizzy because the Tizzy is also really good. And like I said, this build is very versatile, so you can use just about any weapons you like. Just goes him, gone. And as you can see, our cooldown is what there 2 seconds, which is ridiculously fast. You could kill just about phase grafts as many times as you want. So this build, you could make use of ASEs with it. I just prefer going with consecutive hits. It's a lot easier to proc. Let's go over here, do a mini boss real quick. Get Chupacabra. Here's the Tizzy. 4 million there. Obviously this Tizzy would be stronger charged up. Clearly I don't need to charge it because everything just dies in like 2 hits or so. Because of the Kensei Com being ridiculously strong. I'm not even fully firing up the Tizzy, so everything's just kind of dying. Here I have Chupacabra. Now you want to be careful with the Tizzy because it does overheat really quickly, but as you can see, he's gone. Nothing good. As you can see, this build is very strong. Does a lot of damage. Mobbing is probably the best with Amara, so obviously you can see that this build does a ton of damage. You can see everything just melts. Oh, killed myself there with a barrel. Not like it matters though. It's him. Everything dies. Grab him. Everything dies. Let's use some good old plague bearer here. There we go. Use that. 7 million. Everything. Swap over to this. Everything's dead. Now here's the bossing. Now the bossing obviously isn't the greatest because it's Amara. She can't boss that well. But if you just switch to things like plasma coil, you should be fine, really. Weapon is ridiculously strong. You can see you can't really do much here. It needs to be an enemy for me to actually... Let's use some Tizzy, actually. Get around to the crit spot. There you go. Now, the Tizzy does use up a lot of ammo, so you want to be careful of that. I will provide a save link down below in the description so you guys can use the build. And I'll provide a Cupper's launchpad with that so you can slam get your ammo back. But thank you guys for watching the video. Thank you guys for watching the build. Leave a like if you like the build. Let me know in the comments any feedback. And if you didn't like the video, go ahead and leave a dislike. Let me know what you didn't like about the video. Any feedback is good feedback, right? So, yeah, thanks for watching.